Yeah. Good evening, folks. Yeah, it's Sunday, almost the beginning of yet another week. We're gonna talk about EPL Roundup. We're gonna talk about Andre Onana. We're gonna talk about Manchester United, Arsenal. Hope you guys actually enjoy the games. I did enjoy the games. Andre Onana was man of the match. You can see that man of the match award. Andre Onana, man of the match. 29 shots faced, 8 saves, 4 diving saves, 1.63 goals prevented, a rating of 8.7. That's Andre Onana. That's Andre Onana. Excellent work. Let me actually see if I can post this for you guys. Save. Let me see. I can share this with you guys. If you can go ahead and let me know you're here so I can acknowledge you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk about the EPL Roundup. We're going to talk about Andre Onana, his man of the match performance at his new club in Turkey. Keep in mind, his team down to 10. Yet, Andre Onana managed, you know, to keep his team safe. They actually lost by 0-1. However, you know, Andre Onana had an incredible performance. But we're going to talk about the EPL. We're going to talk about Manchester United. We're going to talk about that derby. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. We're going to start in a minute. It's gonna be up to, let's say, 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and start with the EPL, and we're gonna start with a game that was played yesterday. Arsenal actually had a good game against Nottingham Forest. Those who actually watched that Arsenal game, for those who actually watched that Arsenal game yesterday, we shall go ahead and try to analyze Arsenal. I think Arsenal has one of the most balanced teams. Okay, apart from, yeah, Liverpool is also out there, but I think Arsenal, in my opinion, Arsenal has one of the most balanced teams in the EPL. And if you did watch that game yesterday, you will actually see what I'm talking about, because Arsenal has a lot of injured players. I'm talking about Saka. Saka is injured. Havertz is injured. Jesus is injured. Saliba did not play. Martinelli, that was a starter. Trossard, that was playing a lot of games a season, 2 seasons ago, were actually on the bench. Yet Arsenal had a very, very solid team to start. It was the first game of the day, and basically, Rice also is another name. Rice also did not start. So when you look at Arsenal's midfield, you had Odegaard, Zubimendi, and Moreno. Odegaard actually left also on an injury, and Waneri came in. However, the guy for me that had a man of matchup performance was Madueke. Keep in mind, Madueke was transferred from Chelsea to Arsenal, and a lot of Arsenal fans were making noise. They didn't want him. But for those who have watched Madueke, even when he was at Chelsea, you notice one thing: the talent was there. Now, football has an important part that we don't talk a lot about. We talk about the mindset. You know, we don't talk about that a lot because it's something that is very difficult to determine, especially in a team that maybe is on a rebuild, a team that's still finding themselves. There's a lot of expectations, from these kids who have so much talent. However, at one point, maybe they cannot deliver for one reason or the other. Maybe they need the confidence of the coach. That's what was happening with Madueke. Teta went for him. They paid some good money for him, and everybody was criticizing. As soon as Saka got injured, he was introduced, and he's been having a good week because he scored with England, and lots of people saw the talent, that confidence, and he's brought it together with him at the club. If not of the two goals that Joker scored, for me, you will say that he had a man of the match performance, because that was a great performance. From get go, from the beginning of the game, that was a great performance. He was making positive runs for running at defenders. And don't get me wrong, if you've been watching Nottingham Forest, they have a solid team. You will see that, yes, their coach, that was his first game. And you cannot basically blame the team the way they played. They were compact in the back. They were narrow. They were solid. However, Arsenal had a very, very good game. And when you see Arsenal, especially their defensive setup, oh my goodness. The kid they got from Spain, Musquera, he is solid. You would think Saliba was the one playing. He is solid. Alongside Gabriel, he was actually solid. Califiori, he played about 60 minutes. He was replaced. So you can see the depth in squad. Keep in mind, Ben White is not even playing. 2 years ago, Ben White was one started. Rice is not playing. Rice was actually on the bench. So Arsenal started with Zubimendi, Odegaard, and Moreno. And so, as I said earlier, Odegaard was replaced. Gyökeres scored. I'm sorry. Gyökeres was not the one who scored 2 goals. Zubimendi was the one who scored 2 goals. I posted that wonderful goal by Zubimendi on my Facebook, so some of you can actually check it. It's on Reels. So Arsenal actually had a very, very good game against Nottingham Forest, and just watch closely this Nottingham Forest game. They will take points from some big teams. Okay, as I said, Ange Ball. I mean, that's his first game. We don't expect much from Ange. Unfortunately, the previous coach was actually let go, and these things sometimes football you cannot explain. It's about egos, but also if you do employ, by owner or of a team, there is a certain level of understanding. The relationship had broken down, you know. But I don't expect the former coach of Nottingham Forest to be out of a job for a long time. Maybe we see him at Manchester United. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm serious about that, because the way Manchester United is playing, he doesn't actually cut it. Bournemouth beat Brighton by a score of 2-1. Brighton is making so many errors, giving the ball away, causing a penalty. If you play like that, team's gonna punish you. Bournemouth is actually having a good game. Is Semenyo? He actually scored. No, he scored 1 goal. He scored from a penalty. That winner, Scott had scored at the 18th minute, and Mitoma scored the only goal for Brighton. So Brighton actually has to learn how to protect the ball. Baleba came in that game in the second half. Keep in mind, he had played that game against Cape Verde, and that game was on artificial turf, because I heard some news out there already saying that Baleba was put on the bench. Of course, some people don't even know the reason why. They don't go to verify why. He came from Africa from that long flight after having played on artificial turf. When it was raining, the turf was heavy. He had cramps at the end, so it's but normal that the coach actually tries to reduce his minutes. And even this season, starting the season, he's not been playing full minutes. The coach has been reducing his minutes. And the coach actually said why he's been doing that, that he must take care of his players. Crystal Palace 0-0 tie against Sunderland. Everton, Aston Villa. That was also a poor game. Aston Villa is yet to score a goal this season. The Emery has to look for ways, but 0-0 Grealish, Jack Grealish for Everton, he's doing a good job. He's gonna be it's gonna be a good one next week when Everton actually plays Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. Fulham beat Leeds 1-0. West Ham, oh my goodness, West Ham, they looked like they were gonna compete against Tottenham, and Tottenham just put 3 goals against them. Tottenham is a team that I'll be watching also this season. Tottenham is a team that I'll be watching this season. I think they have some very, very interesting players. Javis Simons had his first game coming from Germany. Good game, good win for Tottenham. Tottenham also has 9 points, 9 points together with Arsenal. Chelsea against Brentford. That last minute goal by Brentford, and most fans actually blaming Garnacho. I don't know why they're blaming Garnacho for that. So that was it for the Saturday games. Then comes Sunday games. The Sunday games, we saw Liverpool actually play and win by penalty. Now, let me say this about Liverpool. For me, Liverpool has not been convincing, although I do have them as the top 2 teams to win it, the league. For me, they have not been convincing, especially Salah. Of course, he came in and scored that penalty. There was that red card. I think that also I think had something to do with, you know, with Liverpool carrying all 3 points. However, there were some incidents in the game, as that yellow card in the it was in the first half, that yellow card that should have been a straight red. Although the player ended up getting his marching orders, he was actually lucky that he was still on the pitch. And then he was actually he was playing on a yellow card. I'm not sure why the coach, Scott Parker, I'm not sure why Scott Parker let Ugochukwu let Ugochukwu on the field. He should have taken off Ugochukwu because he was playing in that midfield where he actually had so many battles. And finally, he got set off. And when he gets set off, that's when Liverpool actually pulled that error by Hannibal, and it was a penalty, undeniable, and they scored. This is the second time Liverpool against Bournemouth. We saw that. Even last season, that they were doing that a lot, scoring in the very last minutes and all that. Believe me, it's going to come back to bite them. It's going to come back to bite them. I don't think that Liverpool is, although they are on paper, they are better on paper, but I don't think Liverpool has that energy of last year to make it a back-to-back EPL wins. Although I do have them, competing, competing, competing for the title. I think Arsenal might just urge Liverpool this year around. Manchester City has Donnarumma that came in. Maybe Manchester City actually does something too. So for our game of the week, I'm talking about Manchester United against Manchester City. Coming into this game, Manchester City had lost 2 in a row. When I looked at Manchester City, especially before the season started, I said they had not resolved their defensive problem. Transition defense, they had not resolved that problem. When I saw them today, I still have my doubts. Manchester United did not actually pose enough offensive trouble for Manchester City. However, Manchester City won 3-0. So that clean sheet is actually very important, although for me it's not convincing. When you look at expected goals for Manchester City, they were clinical today. They had a 2.63 expected goals. They scored 3 goals, which means they were very clinical today. However, Manchester United had a 1.52 expected goals and they did not score. I know that miss by Mbuemo from there was a cross by the Ivorian. That was a shot, and Buemo could not handle it, so it went wide of Donnarumma. Then Donnarumma also pulled that great save from the volley by Buemo. I mean, that was a good save, and maybe that's why Manchester City might just get better because they started the season with their second choice goalkeeper. Anderson has left for Turkey. We saw him actually play today for Fenerbahce against Onana. So maybe Donnarumma comes in. We see how commanding he's actually in the air. Maybe he comes in and turns things around for Manchester City. But if I look at Manchester City, this is not the best Manchester City team we have seen in the past 2 years. But they beat Manchester United easily. So that should tell you something about Manchester United. And I want to break down Manchester United for that reason. When you look at their coach, I think he's lacking. You look at the decision that back office actually made. You can give, I mean, part of the blame can goes to them. Also the fans. And I'm gonna say this for the fans is because the fans have not yet realized that Manchester City is not the Manchester City of the Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, for the past decade, what has Manchester City done to warrant so much attention or to warrant? Of course, we know that they have a lot of fans. They are a big team. They put you under pressure, but that pressure sometimes is coming to bite them because some of the pressure is self-inflicted. Look at Andre Onana. Andre Onana has played one game against Grimsby, and when you look at that game against Grimsby, they were just from playing Fulham in the EPL, where they dropped 2 points. They were supposed to win that game. They dropped 2 points. And I think for dropping 2 points, Amorim should have conducted or reconducted the same team that played Fulham, his starters, to play against Grimsby so as to give them confidence. Let them play 60, 70 minutes. Let them score two, three goals. Then you can now pull them out. But what did he do? He made 8 changes. What did he also do? He put Onana in that game. Onana made that first mistake, and everybody just went bananas on Onana. Now, everything that happens, that goes wrong at Manchester United, keep in mind, they had played the league. Their goalkeeper had made that mistake against Arsenal, and they had lost against Arsenal. But everybody forgets that. By end, everybody forgets that Onana is the target. Onana left for international games. Onana was the target. We're still talking about Onana. Onana left for Turkey. Amorim talking about Onana. So everything that went wrong at Manchester United for the past, at least, to be fair, 2 years. I'm not saying that Onana did not make some mistakes. Everything was against Onana. Today, Onana's team lost by 1 goal, but he was named man of the match in Turkey, playing with 10 men for almost 70 minutes. Now, when you are at a team that blames a particular player for every mistake, that's no longer a team. That's just a collection of individuals. And when you look at the way Manchester United played today, their midfield was isolated. Ugarte and Fernandez, they were isolated. And Manchester City was just passing the ball. Doku looked good. He had 2 assists. That first assist for that goal, his movement, he came from the right and was running against defenders. There was a block, then there was a second cross. Winning the second ball is always important. And Foden, that we have not seen, that we did not see the whole last year. Keep in mind, 2 years ago, Foden was player of the year for EPL. Foden scored that brilliant goal. Now, keep in mind, he's not the tallest, but he made the right run, running into space. And he was the only guy, and the Manchester United defenders could not put the body on Foden. And that's what I've been talking about. But yet everybody has always tried to blame Andrew Nana. Where is the defense? Where was the defense on the second goal? Where was the defense on the second goal? On the third goal itself, losing the ball in areas where you're not comfortable. Maguire, I cannot blame him. He's not that fast, and we saw Haaland score 2 goals today. Now, as I said, when you look at the stats, United had an expected goal of 1.52. They didn't score. Manchester City had an expected goal of 2.63, and they scored 3. So they were clinical. Shots on target, Manchester United had 2. I remember Sesko had a good shot on target, but he was weak. I know he could not beat Donnarumma. That was the only action that I saw Sesko. He was pulled out in the second half. Okay? That's someone, he refused to go to Newcastle. Newcastle striker, the striker that Newcastle got, he scored yesterday. They beat Wolves by a score of 1-0. Højlund has gone to Napoli. He scored yesterday in the 14th minute. So there's something about Manchester United. Their structure is not right. Okay. I will go ahead and answer a question here. Someone said, do I think they should change the formation? Of course. Resolute. I'm responding to a comment. Yes, of course. I think they should change the formation because when you look at Manchester United, right, they don't have the players to play that formation. 3 central defenders with wing backs. Okay, today Ahmad did not play as a wing back. He was alongside with Mbeumo, just behind Sesko, the striker, in the formation that they actually played today. However, why is Manchester United playing with 5 defenders, yet conceding 3 goals? Just think about it. Ask yourself those questions. So Amorim, this is the problem. I think Amorim is young, so he doesn't have the experience to be flexible. He came with a system that he knows. that he has used when he was in Portugal. And now he cannot adjust to that. And I think his man management is also not that good. Let's start calling names. He's got problems with Sancho. He has had problems with Rashford, with Amorim, with I'm saying Amorim, with I said Rashford, with Sancho, uh, with Onana most recently, you know. And when it comes to the press, he's talking about these things. So he's not flexible, you know. Even the kid, Mainu, the other day I read at the press where he was saying that Mainu has the talent, but Mainu doesn't have the understanding of the game, positional understanding. Now, how old is Mainu? If he doesn't have that understanding of the game, I mean, why are you saying that to the press? Why don't you teach him, you know, in little increments? Garnacho also is gone. Now, why is everyone that who comes to Manchester United underperform? Ask yourself that question. I've called you players that came to Manchester United and, you know, they've gone to various clubs and they're performing. I think the culture, the structure. I was one of those who actually criticized a guy like Ole back in the days. But Ole was not this bad. Let me read a comment that, what's his name? Your legend, a Manchester United legend, said. Keane, let me look for what Roy Keane actually said. Because Roy Keane was actually surprised. Roy Keane said, how can you play a derby and there's no yellow card? You know, Manchester United did not get a yellow card. How can you play a derby, you know, and you don't get yellow cards? Let me see. Fouls. Eight fouls, eight fouls. Let me see. Corner kicks, crosses. I did not even check it. And he's right. So how is that possible? So where is the intensity? Where is the pride? You know, that's why a lot of people have been questioning Fernandez as a captain. You know, when Andre Onana came to Manchester United, right, he wanted to act as a glue. I think that was a mistake that he made because he wanted to act as a glue, right? He came with some character. He tried to pump everyone out. He tried to speak to Maguire, and that was the beginning of his downfall. And he was coming behind a goalkeeper, a legend, De Gea. I think that was his downfall. When it comes to the fans did not forget that. And when he started making mistakes, instead of shielding him, you know, they did not shield him. Yeah, I think you said Ole signed brilliant players. I think, yeah, Manchester United, the problem Manchester United was not actually the players that they did sign. It's not only the players that they did sign. Also, I think that they gave some of the players too much money. The culture around the team was not actually that good, you know, and that led to one problem after the other. So, yeah, as I said, Onana came in and he tried to be the savior. He tried to talk a lot, and, you know, Ten Hag was there. Ten Hag got fired. But a lot of people fail to understand that at least Nana won an FA Cup. And this season for Onana, he came. There's some news that is not verified. This is not the first time that Onana goes on vacation and plays soccer in the streets with others. However, it's alleged that he went and picked up an injury. But when he came back to Manchester United, he was training. And then that's when the club noticed that there was an injury, there was a problem with Andrew Nana, which actually I don't buy. A lot of players go on vacation, long vacations, and we hear different type of scandals. What did Onana do wrong? You know, but that's not the point. Again, that game against Grimsby, I think Onana was just put out there, you know, as a scapegoat. He did not have a good game. He made that mistake, and then everything, you know, was just put on the head of another. But for me, I think it's a blessing in disguise for him that he left. You know, now he can play and focus on football alone. So the problem with Manchester United, especially as you saw today, they isolated in the midfield. Fernandez and Ungate isolated. No matter who plays there, Casemiro, Mainu, they will be isolated because of the way they actually play. You have two guys at the midfield, and where's Manchester? What is Manchester City good for? They look to dominate the ball, especially in the midfield. With Rodri back, he's not yet at his best. I don't know if he will get there, but you still let Manchester City dominate you in the midfield. Then you have three center backs, supposedly ball playing center backs, which I don't see. You know, Luke Shaw was a mess today, total mess. You know, so I think Manchester United does not have the players to play that particular type of football Amorim has wants to play. Amorim so far has won just 8 games at Manchester United. How many has he played? Maybe 35, 8 games at Manchester United. And that's the one who wants to pick fights with all the players, you know. So I think Manchester United this year, I said this season, we shall focus, we shall see what Amorim has, you know. I think the best game they played this season was against Arsenal, although they lost, because you could see energy. They came out and played. Of course, it was in front of their fans. They had the 12 men who actually pushed them, and they responded, although they did not win. That was the best game, in my opinion. You know, but they have not been convincing. If you see, let me go ahead and just I can share. I mean, if you see the table, they sit in 14th, 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses, 4 goals scored, 7 goals against, -3. Okay, and they have 4 points. So that's Manchester United for you. And again, as I said, Manchester City had lost 2 games coming into this game. So for me, it's not as if Manchester City was that good. It's a Manchester City of 4 years. No, I believe Manchester City this year, they're gonna fight maybe to get in Champions League. With the coming of Donnarumma, let's see how the defense gets better. You know, it's Pep Guardiola. You never know what happens. Chelsea had that disappointing game yesterday. You know, so when you look at the table, Liverpool, they've won, all 4 games. I still think that Liverpool, are not as good as last year. Although on paper, they have a very, very good team. But I think they have been lucky in 2 games, especially the one today. Arsenal second. Spurs is a team I'm watching a lot this season. Bournemouth, surprisingly. Ooh-wee. Chelsea, Everton with Grealish. Oh, wow. Sitting number 6. So that Mercy Derby is going to be a good one next weekend. Then Manchester City also plays Arsenal next weekend. Manchester City bumped up to number 8 with your win today. So that's 6 points. So they stopped that 2-game losing streak. So anyways, yeah, that's the roundup for this year. And for this week. What do you have to say? I mean, did you guys watch the game? Let's make this thing interactive. And for those who want to come up and, share their views, I'm also always open for that. So maybe we'll have some interactive, analysis one of these days where people can just call in and we can share opinions. Thanks for watching. Please go ahead and share. Follow me on my various platforms. I'm on YouTube, 19.5. I'm on Facebook. You can either follow my page 19.5 or you can follow my private page, which I'm streaming from today. Now, thanks for watching, and you guys have a wonderful week. Peace out.